Conceding the weight of the evidence in the case was overwhelming. Jacksonville attorney Richard Kurtz argued before the Florida Supreme Court that Cherish Perrywinkle's killer deserves a new trial. Donald Smith, he was convicted back in 2018 of the kidnapping, rape, and murder of that 8-year-old girl and was sentenced to death. Now, this morning's arguments are part of the automatic appeal process that follows any death sentence in Florida. Kurtz cited 4 trial errors, including the fact that the medical examiner cried on the stand during testimony, saying that cumulatively they amounted to a reversible error. But the attorney for the state, Charmaine Millsap, said that none of the alleged errors would be substantive enough to overturn the jury verdict.
While some of my issues may be weak, and I'll just say it, some of my issues may be weak, but they culminate. The culmination of the effect causes a prejudicial issue.
Autopsy photographs of a heinous, atrocious, and cruel murder are heinous. They are hard to look at.
Now, I do want to note none of the judges seemed receptive to arguments for a new trial, but they did not make any formal ruling.